Hello.
Hello. Whoa.
Sorry, don't know what
You
happened.
go. You go.
All right, sorry guys. What's up? Hello. Okay, so today's video is going to be a special presentation that we created on a slideshow presentation. But before we get into it, please remember to like and subscribe and comment. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right,
So
I'm gonna share my screen here. Okay. Let me know if you can see this.
Yep.
All right.
Put it in present. Yeah, present mode.
All right.
All
so
right.
This presentation is on law enforcement in jails. We created this for a couple of reasons, but the main reason
3 months, 4 months ago.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep.
Yeah. So, the first, this is kind of like a timeline. So,
yeah,
if you have any questions on where we got our information, it's all cited in our slideshow, and we'll show you that because we needed to have it cited anyway.
Yeah.
So in police or law enforcement began in 1630. That might be, you might think that's a long time ago, which it is. It is, right? Yeah, it's like, yeah. So colonists were basically, they made night watches. So like they put people that had to like spot like fires. They also like did did neighborhood watches, weather conditions, and delivered warrants, and supervised at the night watchmen. Also carried out routines by local governors to communities over time. And they also added marshals and city councils and justice to back up the watchmen.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a little picture of them.
And obviously it's in black and white because you can't,
It's in 1960 or 30. April 1935, the city of Boston established night watches in which officers served part-time without pay. That's kind of, it's basically kind of like your volunteers. So like where we live, we have volunteer firefighters, but they get paid, don't they?
Yes, some do. My neighbor actually gets paid to being a firefighter.
Yeah. So, and then that's how you can tell that that's also an old picture. Kenzie?
1700s. Police started to arrest slave owners after slavery became illegal, but we all know they still do slavery today anyway. Yeah. After property was stolen and damaged, these officers were called slave patrol, and those are some pictures down there. If you've all taken a history class, you all know about slavery.
We don't need to explain it.
Yeah, we're not history teachers.
Go again.
All right. April 29th, 1786. Sheriff Benjamin Branch of the Chesterfield County in Virginia died when he was thrown from his horse, becoming the first known law enforcement officer to be killed in the line of duty. He was the very, very first law enforcement officer to be killed. And as you know, today, hundreds and hundreds of more are being killed daily, which ticks me off. Sorry.
September 24th, 1789. Police did not have to follow protocol such as today. For today, they use body cameras, arrest protocols, and vehicle pursuits and defense tactics. As well as training before any of these things, police use very powerful authorities, which all now with all this stuff that's going around in our world, we're not going to name anything because we don't want to get yelled at by anybody, but
we don't want the Karens coming on.
Yeah. But yeah, so they had U.S. the first Congress and law enforcement officer, the United States Marshal, 13 U.S. Marshals were appointed by George Washington. So basically, what that saying is, what is that saying, Mackenzie?
Not sure. That's a history thing, but let me talk about the picture, shall I? Okay.
Sure.
So this bottom left here is a picture of defensive tactics happening. The guy is in the process of trying to handcuff an individual, take him down. To the right is a picture of a today's body camera. That's called an Axon body camera. A lot of departments use it. and it's a good tool. Late 1700s. New York Highway Patrol used radar guns to track down speeders on the road. That's when the first radar gun was being used, and it was a Falcon radar gun. As you can see down here, that's what it is, right there. 18th century. When solitary confinement was first introduced in America in the late 18th century, it wasn't intended to be a punishment. In fact, solitary was first put into practice at U.S. prisons by a something community called the Quakers as part of an experiment to improve prison conditions and rehabilitate inmates. Now it's just used for disciplinary in jails.
The 1800s. Police used horses to patrol cities and towns. First cars were made in the first car was made by the police force. So basically, you know how people always rode horses, like that's how like they got around. And now today, a lot of people are talking about taking horses away out of the parades because people don't know what the police horses did and stuff. But it's super sad to see the horses go because they were really fast when they were on them. The first state penitentiary was built in Philadelphia in 1829. It was called the Eastern State Penitentiary. And penitentiaries and jails, what's the difference, Mackenzie?
So I've talked about this in our first video, I believe, and maybe our second video, but jails are temporary holding facilities for either the accused or the non-accused and waiting to be accused, if that's the problem. Penitentiaries are people that are already accused and either waiting to be released or they're being sentenced to life or how long they're being sentenced to. So penitentiaries and prisons are more permanent and jails are less permanent.
Alcatraz was a penitentiary, wasn't it?
Sure was. Yes, it was a hell.
Not a fun place.
No.
1850, the first sheriff was appointed to control people and protect a large amount of areas, and also hired a bunch of them to swarm in and help out deputies. They're like the sheriffs are like the top notch in the police ladder, I guess you would call it, right?
They have a lot of authority. They also not only do they do the patrol, they run forensics, they run they run county jails, they run the medical examiner's office, they run courthouses. They have a huge responsibility.
Yeah, it's hard work.
Yeah. 1858, Baltimore Police Department was the first place to issue pistols to its officers as a protection. Now, we all know all officers carry guns, and they're not always used appropriately, but Baltimore Police Department was the first department to ever issue guns to their department officers. August 27th, 1861. On August 27th, 1861, Alcatraz was officially designated as the military prison for the Department of the Pacific, which covered most of the territory west of the Rocky Mountains. So this is in California, obviously. Like most prisons of the time, the condition in the cell house were terrible, with men sleeping on stone floors side by side.
Hi, Cody, if you're there. You're on. Cody is alive.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Look in the comments.
I can't.
1893, the bulletproof vest was invented. Bulletproof vests are very highly, I guess, because like they help protect the officers so they don't get shot at. When they were also, the bulletproof vest was also invented in 1993. Followed by, he also collabed and made different other bulletproof things so the bulletproof vest was one of the things that this guy invented because there were so many officers getting hurt
and shot, yeah. So this here is a bulletproof vest by Safe Life Defense, very popular company for the vests and everything. And there's one of their vests.
1899, the first police department used a patrol car in Berkeley, California police department. That's also an old one. Those type of ones, those are all the ones that you kind of see in the movies that are the very wow, like they're the.
And nowadays, all the squad cars and wherever, I mean, they all have LED light bars and they can shoot trackers out of the cars to track stolen vehicles. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Technology has changed.
Yes, it has.
1902, fingerprinting was first used in the United States of America, law enforcement. And fingerprints is very important to identify someone.
Yes, it is. 1907, the Army began sending soldiers to confinement in Alcatraz Fort in the early 1860s. Over the next 4 years, the island became more important as a prison. The U.S. Army removed the fort guns in 1907 and formally designed it as Alcatraz military prison.
And there's a picture of it right there.
It's in the middle of the island.
1960s. In the 1960s, semi-automatic pistols gained popularity across police forces in the United States. This is especially important for police officers in urban areas where crime rates are higher, giving them more firepower than before. Over the years, the weapons used by police officers have changed. This here is not a real gun. This is a training gun by ASP. And they make tasers, they make guns, they make all sorts of different training equipment for police officers. It's very, very cool.
The 1940s, the first American bomb dogs came in the 1940s. The purpose of them were to detect German mines in the North African by 1970s. The United States trained dogs to identify explosions, illegal substances, and marijuana, and heroin and cocaine. Yes. They're very smart dogs.
Yes.
1965, chemical mace was originally invented in 1965 by Alan Lee Littman.
Yes. And that's what mace is also known as pepper spray, but you know, it burns. Let's just put it that way. It burns. 1968. The first call to 911 was placed in February of 1968. Thanks to 911 throughout the country, a call to 911 can quickly connect you with the help you need. Before that first call, the individuals needed to dial a local 10-digit phone number. Now we just got digit 3, but 10? Wow. To reach a police, fire, EMS services. And you can see that these guys have a lot of computers around them.
1970, the era of mass incarceration began. Stricter sentencing laws, law enforcement got tougher on crime. The taser was also invented in mid-1970s by American inventor Jack Cover. The taser is anonymously for Tom A. Swift. It hurts very badly. It literally sends an electric shock through your body.
50,000 volts.
That's a lot of volts.
Yeah. 1972, the side handle baton was introduced to American law enforcement in 1972. The most famous examples of this is the monodonic PR-24, whose iconic design and is used by the Los Angeles Sheriff and police departments have popularized it for many departments across the country. Nowadays, police officers can fold their batons and they can just throw them out and they will expand. They're expandable batons.
2001. This was a big deal on the U.S. and it just took a toll on everybody. September 11th, 2001, a huge terrorist attack in New York City, and this changed the world forever, and changed the way police do their job and more observation and doing better search techniques. This is the most terrifying thing in history.
Yeah.
And it's just so scary.
It's pretty bad, but it's not as bad as, I mean, it's worse. It's way worse than COVID. Let's put it that way. It's way worse.
It's called 9/11, and I hope that people they regret what they did.
2009. The scheme was launched with $130,000 worth of community donations, indicating impressive local buy-in from the get-go. Also in Oakland, California, the police started using cameras, which are the body cameras, in 2009, and now all of its officers are wearing them.
October 11th, 2018. The National Law Enforcement Officers Museum in Montreal building was funded in Washington, D.C. Some other fun facts.
Yes.
The evolution of jails and prisons with supervision. There's direct supervision. Correction officers in the housing unit can hold 48 inmates and that are under minimum security or general population. Indirect supervision. Correctional officers are in search security control rooms looking over inmates in maximum security.
Yes.
And that's just what a general prison looks like.
Yeah, that's one of the housing units that today, that's what jails look like with those.
And there's our work site. Our work site is
all of our work cited.
Yes. So if you guys have any questions, you can comment them down below, or you can just comment on them. And we will see you guys on Wednesday?
Yes.
Yes, Wednesday we can see you guys. So, thank you all for tuning into this special episode of the Leo Squad. Make sure you comment down below, like, subscribe, and hit the little bell icon for every time we post so you can get an update. And we are using StreamYard now, so thank you guys for watching. Our shout out this week goes to Cody Vanderhayden for tuning in. Thank you, Cody.
Thanks, Cody.
We will see you next week.
Wednesday.
We'll see you Wednesday.
Sorry, we're all out today.
Yeah. Bye, guys.